MMA.com and Carol's Corner MMA podcast. Today we're here with special guest Kalil Rumble Cuff. Cuff, how you doing today?
Feeling fine, feeling great. Just preparing for my next fight coming up March 22nd.
Awesome. First of all, tell us a little bit how you got into mixed martial arts. You've been around for a little while. You got 3 fights under your belt now, one MMA. You're 3-0. Tell us how you got into it.
So my dad, hold on, there's like a little echo. It's like throwing me off a little bit. So my dad, he was a big UFC fan ever since we were growing up, even when we were living in Brooklyn before he moved up to Baldwin. And he was always big into the UFC. He did jiu-jitsu himself. He took me some time to do jiu-jitsu with him in Victor Shaolin before they closed down in the city. Then eventually I picked up wrestling in seventh grade. I fell in love with it. I stuck with it. I done really great with it. I was two-time All County, four-time All Conference. Built up my confidence and everything. What got me into the MMA scene was about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, I started over at Oma with Mark Omar, and originally the plan was go there, help out with the wrestling, start my own wrestling program. That was the original plan. And one day, it was like one day in August of 2023 or September 2023, Omar was like, yo, come down with the adult class and try to kickboxing. You might like it. I was always scared of getting hit in the face. Everybody's always scared of getting hit in the face. I've never really been hit in the face before with somebody that's trained. So hopped in. I was with AJ. I'll never forget it. First day I got in, I didn't know jack anything. Walked in, she's like, hit as hard as you want to get hit. I was like, all right. I get hit with a body shot, and that was like my welcome to MMA moment. And then from there on, I was just, training, get better. I wanted to be kind of keep leveling up. Went to my first MMA event, which was Jackhammer. It was the Fall Brawl in 2023. And just being in that environment, being in the locker room, I was like, this is where I want to be. I got excited. I got like I'm about to get into a fight type of feeling. And from there on, I was like, all right, how can I get into my first fight? How can I get into how can I get MMA? How can I keep developing my striking? How can I make my wrestling work in MMA? And then I just kept working, see what else I could do. Just gaining resources, gaining knowledge, and then here I am.
Now, your first 2 fights, kickboxing, but your first one was against Kanji, who went split decision, a little closer fight, and then your second one against Kerry Nash was a unanimous decision. How much momentum did that give you and confidence did that give you going into your MMA debut at Jackhammer Promotions, where you got the TKO finish in round 2 against Brandon Ainsworth?
So with that first fight against Candy, he was a tough opponent, especially for my first opponent, especially in, taking away something I'm good at, grappling, saying, and just keeping it striking, everything I've been learning for the past, maybe 4 or 5 months leading up to the fight. And it was kind of like that first fight was to kind of prove to myself that I could be in there, I belonged in there. And it's like, it's not just a fluke. It's not just like I just accidentally happened to be in there. I'm just another guy that just like, oh, let me go try this and let me just, get a fight just so I can say, get some photos, post it on my Instagram. That fight kind of just started to build the belief inside myself, and that split decision, I was like, yo, that's too close. I know I'm better than a split decision. I know I can dominate matches. I know even if I'm not proficient in a certain martial art, I know I'm a fast learner. I can get better. And I just took that momentum and I'm like, okay, we looked at the tape, we looked at our sparring footage, we looked at where I was, we looked at where we want to go, and then we just made tweaks and adjustments. And it was just studying, practicing, working, conditioning. Second fight, felt a lot more confident going this way. I had experience. There's a little bit, some uncertainty going to that second fight. Not necessarily with me, but it was just like I had one opponent, he backed out, and 3 weeks before the fight was supposed to happen, I got another opponent, he backed out a week before, and then I had Kevin Nash. Kerry Nash, my bad. My bad if you're watching, I apologize for butchering your name. But like last week replacement, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna do me, exactly what I did. And then carrying that momentum, like, okay, I have the confidence, I have the experience, I know what I'm doing, I had great training partners, I had great resources, I had a great training camp. I didn't feel like shit when I was training for my fight. I'm like, okay, cool. That was I kind of like expanded the gap. And I was like, okay, making progress. And then that third fight, All right, cool. Now I get to work my grappling. Now I get to work my striking. And I was just, all right, I'm in the mix in there. It's something I haven't done officially, but it's like, I feel confident. I've been in this place before. I've been in this situation before. I can grapple. I can strike. I'm confident in that. And then it just went like, all right, cool. Stay calm, keep my composure. And that's exactly what I went in with. I was like, okay, if I believe that I have all the odds in my favor, I'm gonna perform like it, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, in that fight early in, I believe it was the first round, Ainsworth was able to get you up off the ground for a nice slam, but you quickly recovered and kind of got into a better position and then started wailing away on his ribs in the second round. Tell us what was going through your mind when he's lifting you and then you scramble out of that.
Yeah. So I knew he was going to be a wrestler. I knew because I was watching his tapes. I was watching some of his footage from his past fights. I knew he was just gonna. Oh, my bad. I knew he was just gonna, try to throw that overhand, which he did, and try to go into that shot and just try to wrestle me. I was like, all right, I'm a wrestler. I can handle it. You know what I'm saying? It's not anything that I haven't seen before. So he got in there. I sprawled up beautifully the first time. I was trying to go for that anaconda, but I think I went the wrong way. And then me, I guess not having the right pressure, he was able to get up underneath me, and I was in the air. But I was like, you know what? Like I said, I've been in that position in wrestling. I've been in this position before in practice. I'm like, all right, as long as I stay calm, I can stay tight, and I just use this momentum to go over him, I'll be in a better position. Everybody else was so much more freaked out than I was. I was just like, all right, stay calm. Let me just use the momentum, and then I can just still be in this fight. Honestly, I feel like that first round, he might have edged me out that first round. I knew it was like, okay, cool. Let me just stand up with him. He might be an okay wrestler, but I know I'm a better striker.
Well, and then once you got in the second round, when you were laying down those body shots, like those were vicious. Like we were sitting right there. You're right in the corner where we were sitting, commentating, and the shots you were landing were powerful. It definitely displayed your strength in that fight. How confident were you that he wasn't going to be able to continue after landing those body shots?
Honestly, I thought the wrestler didn't stop it early. I was surprised he didn't stop it early because as soon as I got into that position, this is what happened. I clipped it with it too, and then he kind of just curled up against the cage, and then again, just a panic shot. Sprawled beautifully. I was trying to stand back up, but he really wanted to wrestle. So I was hitting those shots once I hooked that ankle, and then as soon as I hit the first one, I heard it go, oh, and I felt him just buckle down. So I'm thinking, okay, let me just keep going. Let me keep going, try to stop it. The ref saying, all right, keep working, but he wasn't. I guess he wasn't out, or he wasn't like falling up enough or anything like that. So I was just like, all right, let me just keep going. My corner was telling me, yeah, just stand up. But he had my hooks, he had my leg trapped, so I really couldn't even get my foot up to stand up. I was trying, but he just had his hook.
Position for kind of like both of you, I guess.
Yeah, but I was in a better position because I had his ankle hooked, I had my hips low, I was heavy, and I was overall in a better position. So I kept going. Honestly, I thought you were gonna stop it like halfway through the round, but he didn't stop it, kept going. But I knew I had him at that round because I got up, I went to my corner, and by the time I sat down on my stool, he was still on the ground. You can even see me on the video. I pointed to him, I was like, yo, he's not getting up. He's not getting up. And then that's when they called off the fight because I guess he wasn't able to continue after that. But I seen that, so I knew I did the damage. I heard the damage. I felt some buckle, and then he was just trying to survive for like the later half of that round. So that's how I've seen it.
So what kind of confidence does this give you now going into your next fight and your future fights? You've gone the distance a couple times in kickboxing. You got a TKO finish in MMA. How does this prepare you and give you that energy going into your next fights?
You want to know? It's like I always say this. Every man has a chance. Nobody is invincible, but at the same time, everybody is human. You even see it with Alex Ray. He's going on an absolute tear. But even he got knocked out by Izzy. So even though he looks like this big bad monster, he's not untouchable. I go in with these guys. It's like at first you're nervous because you're like, oh, I'm about to go against the fight. I'm about to get into the cage. It's my camp right. It's this right. It's my conditioning right. Am I here or there? Obviously the confidence comes as you go with the camp and everything. It's like The confidence just comes from time, just looking at footage, how I prepare myself outside of camp, when I'm learning. And then it's just momentum, momentum, momentum. And at the same time, it's just staying grounded, just understand, listen, every man has a chance, but every man is human.
Absolutely. Um, what are some of your goals for this sport? Obviously, short term, you want to win your fights and all, but what are your goals long term for this sport?
A long time, I want to take this to as high as I can go. UFC, once I go to UFC, become the champion. If I could be a two-division champion, two-division champion. Hey, maybe if I could be a three-division champion, I'll be the first one. Hey, if it's a possibility, why not? But ultimately, it's like UFC or One or Bellator, a big promotion where now I'm not just competing to be the best of the amateurs. I'm not just trying to be the best of the pros. I'm trying to be the best of the best and the best of the 1%. Yo, it's good. Yo, shout out my boy down in my Dunkley. He's fighting in about 2 to 3 weeks. He's gonna kill it. Yeah. But yeah.
So what do you believe you have to do? Like, you're one fight in amateur MMA. Obviously, after your second fight, you could take off the shin guards and you can ground and pound to the head, which will change the game drastically for you. What do you believe you have to keep doing to become that elite fighter that you want to be to get to the UFC?
Got to keep learning. Got to keep an open mind. You got to keep grinding, and then you got to keep yourself honest. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, yes, I've been doing martial arts for a long period of time. I started off with Taekwondo when I was younger. I did a little bit of jiu-jitsu with my dad. I did wrestling for middle school and high school. And I've been doing kickboxing, for the past 2 years. Now going to MMA. And it's just with all those martial arts, with all those sports, it just comes around, the same theme. You see it with Bo Bassett, you see it with Bo Nickel, you see it with Jack Sports, you see it with all these high level guys, not even just wrestling, but just even kickboxing, boxing, all these high level guys. Always learning, always keeping an open mind, always being humble, not believing that you know everything and just continuing to be a student. You get what I'm saying? And I feel like me always being able to be a student, me always being able to be coachable, and on top of that, I think this is something that goes, unsaid a lot, is being able to build your own arsenal. Some guys try to emulate a certain style. Everybody tries to kind of put themselves in a box. And that kind of takes away the uniqueness from what they have. I have unique weapons. Somebody else has unique weapons. You have unique weapons based on your physical, your mindset, your background, and it's just now catering your arsenal to what's your strengths. Understanding your weaknesses, what your opponent's going to be looking for, and just always being a student with the game and just being open-minded. I feel like that's the best thing you can do as anybody in any career.
Absolutely, and we're talking about you have a background in wrestling. I believe you compete at welterweight, correct?
As far as what, MMA or wrestling?
Yeah, MMA, yeah.
I can be like 165. That's what I fought at so far.
Okay. How's weight for you? Is that something that's easy for you because you have experience with it from wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a problem. I go about my diet the right way, especially with some of the sponsors I had in the past. I've had some of my sponsors take care of me. For example, Energy Fuel. I've been going to Energy Fuel even since my first camp before they sponsored me. And it's just I understand the diet, I understand the sciences, I understand the nutritional needs. I understand my body, how I feel, so I don't drive myself into the ground. I can do that sometimes. Especially if I don't have a certain amount of time to just rest and recover, that's why I'm grateful for my sponsors like Somatic. I'm grateful for my sponsors, Energy Fuel, because they actually assist me with a lot of the recovery, the meals, making sure I'm tip top 100%, and then just the discipline. You know what I'm saying? So the weight's never really been an issue with me, just because I understood the discipline, I understood the nutrition, I understood the recovery process, I understood the workload that I'm going to have to do, and honestly, it's like as long as I just stick with a path and I just do it the correct way without trying to kill myself 25, 30 pounds in 1 day or 2 days, it's like weight's never really been a problem for me. And then rehydration, that's easy. That's the easy part.
Awesome. And for such a young fighter, you definitely seem like you have a grasp on understanding the game is more than just inside the cage and training. Like, you already have a few sponsors. I'm on your Instagram page, and I see you have 2-3 sponsors. How important do you believe that is to allowing yourself to be able to train to the fullest potential?
I mean, listen, put it into perspective like this. I was a wrestler, a pure grappler pretty much most of my life. I only started doing kickboxing about a year and a half ago. And, the progress that my striking has made in that year and a half, just because the time that my sponsor allowed me to have, by sponsoring this and sponsoring that, allowing me to train, allowing my schedule to kind of coordinate around training, scheduling the private. So, my head coach, like Mark Omar, going and training with some of my teammates and getting some extra work around the time. So it just progressed my progress. And then on top of that, just going back to being a student, just looking back at my footage, looking at what the good guys are doing. What are they doing really well? Studying people that have like my similar build. What are they doing really well? What's working for them? And it's just, I feel like that's just been I feel like that's kind of been like the far to get me to where I am now. You know what I'm saying? Just because training, like I do 2 a days, I'm able to do 3 a days. I'm able to work with great partners. I'm able to pick their brains. I'm able to allow them to exploit my weaknesses. I look back at it on footage, like, okay, I see that. I need to keep my hand up here. Oh, okay, I see that open. And after I do this, now I need to do that to capitalize. This is how I can get that knockout. This is how I can hurt somebody. And then when I get them up against, when I get them across the cage, oh my God, this episode's throwing me off. I'm trying my best.
So I'll ask two more questions before I let you go. One, what is your meal that you go to right after your fight? You're 3 fights in. What are you getting right after you eat?
So like after I weigh in or after my fights?
I guess both. If you eat something specifically right after you weigh in, and then right after your fight, like the next day or that night.
So, I mean, after I weigh in, my number one focus is food first. I usually get my foods in first. I get my Pedialyte. I big on Pedialyte. I big on recovery EAAs, getting my amino acids, getting my electrolytes. That's number one. As far as my meal, I load up on red meat, because red meat has creatine in it. It holds in some of the hydration, the water that I'm retaining back. Because now, after I made the weight, now it's just making sure that my body is rehydrated. I'm getting nourished. I'm getting my proper nutrition. Yeah, so it'll be like chicken, it'll be steak, it'll be salmon, and just throughout the day, like I'm still eating clean. I'm not just gonna go pick out and have French fries, burger, and everything before the fight. Next thing you know, I look like a whole burger by the time I get into the cage. But after the fight, oh, we can talk about that, man. I love steak. I'm a big steak guy. I love steak. I went to Fat Boy's Burrito one time. It was slapping. I went to Beach Barbecue. Their brisket is slapping. Their mac and cheese is the greatest of all time. Shout out Beach Barbecue. I can talk about. Huh?
Where's Beach Barbecue?
Yo, they just opened up a place in Baldwin, right off of Grand Avenue. Yo, I only had brisket one time before I. What you said?
I said I love brisket and mac and cheese.
Yo, you gotta go. So listen, I had my first brisket about like a year and a half ago, but when I had it, it was super salty from this one place. But I had their brisket this time, yo, I fell in love. That's why one time I posted my story, said, listen, you guys are missing out, but I don't care. I'm perfectly fine with it. Yo, oh my God. We can have a whole episode just me talking about food. You know what I'm saying?
We might have to do that.
Oh, man, that'll be a great episode. Let me know when you want to do that.
We'll do it. After your fight, we'll do that.
Oh, 100%.
Then we can sit and actually eat the food.
Yo, I gotta have you try this brisket, bro. This brisket is no joke. Yo, the brisket and the mac and cheese, and if you have it with the collard greens with the turkey in it, yo, I'm telling you, y'all are missing out. And then they gave you the free cornbread on top of that, bro. I'm telling you.
Free cornbread?
Huh?
Free cornbread?
Yo, when you get the meal, yeah, they give you the free cornbread. Yeah.
Nice.
Listen, y'all gotta check them out. I'm not BSing y'all. Listen, if there's any fighter that knows about food, you're looking at him right now.
So then it brings me to my last question. What's one thing about you that nobody knows but you want to share?
Wait a minute. One thing that nobody knows.
Doesn't have to be MMA related or combat sports related.
Well, a lot of people don't know I speak Spanish.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you're bilingual.
So I'm pretty fluent in Spanish. Surprised a lot of people. I get a lot of Spanish speakers that are like, oh, where you learn Spanish? And then I always tell them the same thing. I was like, middle school I had a crush on this, Hispanic chick, and then, the rest is history.
Well, there you go. That's awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate hopping on. I wish you the best of luck in your future fights. And yeah, after your fight on February 22nd, we're definitely gonna have to sit down.
March 22nd.
Excuse me, March 22nd. We're gonna have to crush some food and
Well, definitely.
talk some more about it.
Yo, I got 3 spots in mind already, so just let me know when you want to go.
All right, sounds good. Hey, this is Cuff, Mr. Rumble. Best of luck, and we appreciate having on the Carol's Corner MMA podcast.
Appreciate you, man.
We're signing off.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate you taking the time to hop on.
Anytime, man. I'll see you soon.
Absolutely. You too. Best of luck.